And now, coming to you live from Studio B in beautiful downtown Paris, Tennessee, My Paris TV and Paris Production Studios presents Keel Media Network's #1 rated program, The Mike Weatherford Show. Now here is your host, Mike Weatherford.
Hello, it's Tuesday night. Y'all know what goes on, 7 p.m. on Tuesday night. That's right, it's me. Hey, tonight we're going to finish up with our Getting to Know Your Candidate series. We've got Benton County Sheriff Ken Christopher. We've got his challenger, Josh Hedge. They're both going to be here tonight. We're going to find out about what's going on in the Benton County Sheriff's race. But before then, I got something I want to talk about. Next week, we have got a special show coming on. It's tomorrow. Excuse me. Let me back up. Tomorrow, we've got a new show coming on. We got a special edition show tomorrow at 6 p.m. live. Folks, write this down. Don't forget, tomorrow, 6 p.m. live. It's a Wednesday night special show. We got Travis McLeese with the Chamber of Commerce. He will be here along with Dr. Heather Meldon from our sister show, Health Matters, right here on Cal Media Network. We also have country music star Darryl Worley. Who knows, he might sing a song or two while he's here. And also, PBR star Cody Nance will be in the house. We'll be updating folks on the Tennessee River Jam happening June the 16th and 19th. And the PBR in Paris is going down July the 1st and 2nd at the fairgrounds. You don't want to miss this one tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. So don't forget, tomorrow's special show, Darryl Worley, Cody Nance will be right here in the show. So tune in tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m. live. All righty. What do you think there, my
co-host? How are you there?
Hey, man, glad to have you back, brother.
This is turned into a series. I like it.
You are my political analyst.
I love having the title.
Smith. He is a man.
And I'm glad that you have bestowed the correct title.
Well, I could call you a lot of things. But
I know.
You are my analyst. You're the one that keeps all these political stuff in order. And
no. There's a funny story. I had a little bit of a miscount on our last show.
We did.
A little bit.
You called it about 3 heart attacks, but other than that, it worked out.
I thought that Vance Dennis was a really good candidate.
Right.
And I thought, well, he just went around and got everybody in Hardin County and took them to vote.
I think they voted 3 times apiece down there.
At least.
According to your numbers.
At least.
Yeah.
But I corrected it.
We fixed it up. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
We had 5 counties.
It was a lot.
It was a lot going on. August the 3rd, say we're going to have 2 counties. We're going to keep up with the Benton County elections. We're going to keep up with Henry County elections.
Yeah.
And that'll be less stressful on you.
No, it won't.
Yeah, well.
No, it won't. There's going to be more. We're going to have a lot more numbers to keep up with.
That's right.
Man.
Well, tonight we got our neighbors across the what I call the levee down there.
Yeah.
We've got the sheriff race coming up.
Yeah.
That's going to be happening in August, and we've got the candidates tonight. We got the sheriff, Kenny Christopher, and we've got Josh Hedge, his challenger.
Yeah.
They both sitting here live. They're going to talk to us.
We're ready to have a bit of a debate between the two.
That's right, we are. And we flipped a coin a while ago, and Josh Hedge gets to go first. So to my left here, Mr. Hedge, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Nice to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Josh Hedge, the candidate for Benton County Sheriff? Tell me who he is.
Well, I'm a native of Benton County. I grew up there all my life. Played ball there. Graduated in '98. My family's from there. My father's James Hedge. Mother's the late Kathy Hedge, and I have a younger brother, Adam Hedge.
Oh, okay. You in law enforcement now? What is your experience in law enforcement?
The experience, I started out as a correctional officer in '08. I went to the patrol in '09. And 2013, I was promoted to patrol sergeant.
What was this? Was this in the Benton County?
Yes, sir, all of Benton County.
Benton County Sheriff Department?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then at that point, Sheriff Christopher promoted me to a sergeant investigator.
Okay. So what are you doing now?
I'm currently employed at the Camden Police Department as a patrol officer.
Oh, County Police. Oh, okay. The Camden City Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. We got on the other side to my right over here, we got the one and only Sheriff Kenny Crisper. Welcome to the show, Kenny.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you inviting us.
I'm glad to have you, man. We got a pretty exciting show tonight. We've got the sheriff race coming up in August the 3rd, I believe, correct?
I think it's the 4th, I
Is
believe.
it the 4th? Okay.
I think that's correct.
Okay.
I don't know. My days have run together.
They
lately.
do that. It'll be here before you know it.
It will be.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, Sheriff Christopher.
Well, I'm also a native of Benton County. All my families grew up here. My father was Joe Ray Christopher. We discussed that when I was on here one time before about he was the probably the most famous square dance caller in Benton County. And
You still owe me a square dance calling, but go ahead.
well,
Man.
you really don't want to hear my versions. It's not very good.
Okay.
Love to see that.
My mother's Sue Cole, and my mother's 87 years old and still working every day. And if I had her energy, I'd be in great shape. All my family is from Benton County. I've lived here all my life except for about 15 years. I moved off and worked down in South Fulton in law enforcement after I'd left the Camden Police Department. And I worked there and made sergeant and investigator, and went on and worked down there with the chief. At the time, they was calling the position I was in the assistant chief. I don't know if that's what it was or not. It's a small department, but really enjoyed that. Worked down there for 10 years, and then came back to Benton County. Went to work with the Benton County Sheriff's Department, and I started on patrol. And in 2014, I decided that I would run for sheriff, and was elected. And I'm finishing up my second term now.
Second term. Okay. Josh.
Yes, sir.
Why are you running to be sheriff? Why are you wanting to be the sheriff?
Mike, before we get started, I just want to make everybody aware that we are going to be keeping time on here to keep it fair for everybody. Sure. And again, I'm using my state-of-the-art timer.
Digital,
Yes.
NASA certified.
That's it.
Okay.
So, and here we go.
All right. Tell me again, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hedges, why would you want to be the sheriff of Benton County?
Well, I feel like it's time for a change. New leadership in the department needs to happen, I believe, and I believe I'm the man that can do that.
What changes are you wanting to make?
Well, first of all, there has to be enough employees to staff the sheriff's office, which if the jail is not staffed correctly, it can't run, and inmates bring in money for the county, and if you can't have a jail, then you can't bring in money.
So what do you think are some of the most challenging issues facing the sheriff of Benton County?
Keeping the department running understaffed.
How are you planning on doing it different?
Well, you got to hire more people, and I'm not sure exactly how to do that. If the budget is the concern, if people are just not wanting to work there at this time, I don't know exactly what that problem is at this time. But it'd be addressed if I was to get in office.
So there's a problem that we don't have enough deputies, is what you're saying, and you don't know if the problem's from budget or if the problem's from not wanting to work at the department. Is that basically what you're saying? You
Yes,
don't
sir.
really
It'd be
know
deputies and correction officers, I believe.
Okay. Kenny, what is the biggest problem facing your department?
The biggest problem we have in Benton County is, like we've got all across the country, law enforcement officers are really hard to find. Nobody's wanting to get into law enforcement now. The low pay, the holidays, things like that. So everybody's in competition, and I've constantly battled with my county commissioners asking for raises. When the departments all around us was making more money, last year I was able to get them a pretty good raise to get us up somewhat close, but I brought them in the paperwork from the state that said that we should have 31 officers total in Benton County. We currently, including myself, only have 20, and I have asked for the last 5 years for them to fund me for 4 or 5 more deputies, and I've been rejected each time. So the budgeting is the problem. In the corrections division, it's the same thing. We didn't pay as much as the surrounding counties. The pay has come up some, but when the state's coming in here like they are and offering a $1,000 bonus or $2,000 bonus, and they're paying half again what we're paying, it's hard to keep them. They're going to leave and go other places, especially to the state. Benefits are better, and the small counties just can't compete with it. So that's the biggest problem with staffing, is getting the money there to get people to want to stay there. You can get them in and hire them, but as soon as they get certified, then they want to go where the money's at, and I understand that.
That's understandable. So you're telling us that the reason why that the Benton County, excuse me if I say Henry County, if the Benton County Sheriff Department is understaffed, you're saying it's because of not enough funding to hire the officers with a pay well enough to entice them to want to come to work there.
Yes, sir. Mike, I've got a full staff on the deputy side now for what they are allowing me in my budget.
Right.
On the corrections side, I think we're still 4 or 5 people short, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. And I think we've got 3 that's going to start next week to get us pretty close. But even at that, we've been told by the state that they're supposed to hire 1 more for each shift, so it'll be 4 more people, and we haven't been allowed to get the money for that.
On that topic, from both of you, you've both indicated some issues with shortfalls, and I've heard the topic about budget. I've heard county commission. Could if you were to be elected,
Yes, sir.
sheriff, how would you propose? Because I don't think it's people want somebody to come into office with the problem. People want people to come into office with a solution.
Yes, sir.
If the shortfall is budget, how would you propose to increase the funding?
First, I'd have to dissect the budget and see where money can be moved around to. If it's been misused or in a different fund, maybe it could be moved over to better solve that problem.
So, assuming, and I'm this is an assumption that I have, or that I'm making.
Yes, sir.
That money is not misappropriated. Money is being utilized currently. If there's a shortfall where you can't hire more employees, how would you propose to be able to solve that shortfall?
So what you're asking is, if the money is correct and they just don't have the money to hire deputies, how
Correct.
would I hire them?
That's correct.
That's a good question.
Because
If you can't pay them, they can't come to work.
ultimately, it's going to require some sort of a funding through the county commission or through a state.
Or moving funds over. Yes.
Okay.
So the problem you're seeing is getting the funds from the county, if that's the problem, and they don't just walk up and say, "Here you go, Josh. Here's enough money to hire you 10 deputies." That don't happen, does it?
It doesn't seem like
It doesn't happen that way. So what you're proposing to do is move the budget around. Take some money out of Peter to pay Paul, as we say in my line of work.
Yes, sir.
If there's money left over in this account, let's move it over here and let's move it over there, and let's get some more correction officers. Is basically where the sheriff said he's probably a little bit slack on, was correction officers. That's how you propose filling that void.
Yes, sir.
Would be moving around.
Yes, sir.
Kenny,
Same question.
yeah, how would you're right in the middle of this debacle? I'm sure you go to your county commissioners and you ask for more money. I mean, that's what you need. And is there money to be moved around? Is that doable? Have you looked at that part? And
We probably do, and I'm just throwing a number out here, anywhere from 2 to 10 resolutions in different meetings with the county commission, moving money from one place to the other. We'll move money from gasoline over into deputy salaries because we are shorthanded, so we have to come up with a lot of salary supplement money. We may have to take money from tires. We may have to take money from vehicle maintenance. But we're constantly having to shuffle the money to get it over to pay what we need to pay. Now, in the jail side, that's a completely different budget, the way we're set up in Benton County. So in that budget there, we're always having to move money. And you have to go before the county commission with a resolution telling them how many dollars you want to move and why you want to move it, and present that resolution to them. We'd like to move X amount of dollars from food in the jail and move it over into salary supplements, because what they're not realizing over there, by us being short-handed in the jail, not having enough personnel, the ones that are there wind up working a lot more overtime. So it's actually costing more money than it should cost, because I've asked, like I said, for 4 more corrections officers. And the state came in and met with them at a county commission meeting and told them that they had to hire 4 more people to get us up to staff. We're supposed to have 7 on a shift. As of this date, they have not done it. And I've asked them, and I'd really like to get us in compliance, but there's just so much money you can shuffle at one time, and you move it back and forth throughout the year. And if they would just, at the end of the year, they always get whatever money we might have left, they get it back. So I'm not understanding really why they don't fund it, and then at the end of the year, you're going to get what you didn't need anyway. But budgets, it's just not there, and it's a continuous problem.
You work for the city department.
Currently, yes, sir.
Yes, for the city. Do y'all have a shortfall of officers in the city?
Yes, sir.
What are they trying to do to entice people to come? Is it a money issue in the city, would you say, too?
Not as bad as the county, maybe.
Right.
I think we're right there close with them now.
Right.
And I believe we're looking to get a raise there,
Right.
which will help. It's just the bodies that we need.
Well, I think from talking with both of y'all, this question is probably to both of y'all, if you can understand. Seems to me like that there's just not enough money to go around, you know, in the county budget to do what the state's mandate you to do. And the sheriff said he's already moved money around. He's, like I say, took from Peter to pay Paul.
Yes,
So the only thing left is a tax increase, you know, and nobody wants to hear that word.
No, sir.
No, and so do you propose, if you get to be sheriff, that you would say, hey, I would be for a tax increase to get the sheriff's department where it needs to be, or is that just something you wouldn't even consider?
I'm not considering a tax increase.
Okay.
That would be a last resort for me.
Right,
I'd
yeah.
have to try everything possible first
Yeah.
to get it
Right.
where it needs to be.
So you think that you would work with, I'm not putting word into your mouth, Josh,
Right.
but are you saying you would want to work with the county commissioners, the ones that does the budgets, and try to find ways to get more money without raising the tax?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, are you, you know, tax increases is a dirty word. Nobody wants to hear that word.
Oh, definitely. And I own some property and own a home there, and I don't want a tax increase.
Right.
But if you want the services, sometimes it's necessary. We haven't had a tax increase in Benton County in years, and they are proposing one. Josh and I both was at a meeting last night, the county commission meeting, and we heard what they said. And at the end of the night, I think Josh will agree with me. We turned out we've got 2 different sets of numbers as to what they're looking at. The budget committee is saying that we have quite a deficit, $750,000 or more.
Let me ask you a question here, Sheriff. I hate to interrupt you.
No, sir.
Excuse me. Do you know what the budget is in the sheriff's department?
I believe, and you caught me at a bad time because I didn't get to look my numbers over the last 2 weeks, so I'm going to throw it out there at about $3.5 million.
$3.5 million. How much of that would you guesstimate, if you're allowed to, if I can use that word, that being of the total budget for Benton County? That's a small part of the total budget then, because you've got other departments you have to fund. Is there other departments that maybe could kick some money back to y'all? I mean, we're robbing from Peter to pay to Paul, but it seems like y'all two are saying we're going to have to do it in the same department. Is there other departments that could?
Well, that's all up to the county commission and what they do. And the school, I'm understanding, automatically gets at least 50% of the total tax revenue that comes in. So that's gone to the schools. And then the highway department gets a small part.
Right.
And then we get our part. Each department, each office gets their share. The proposal that's on the table right now is they're wanting to cut the sheriff's department's budget by $200,000 this year, and in order to make up for their shortfall on one budget. Then last night, Mayor Lashley and one of the commissioners presented a different set of numbers that says their numbers are correct. So I really don't know where we're at and what we're doing because the numbers are so far away from each other.
It's kind of fuzzy math.
Yeah, I really don't know. Tomorrow night they're going to have another meeting, and the budget committee is going to present the budget as they have it to the county commissioners, and then they will vote on that, or they will vote to postpone it and go forward and work on the budget some more. But the budget that we have at this time, if they pass it, we cannot operate. It is just too big of a cut. We brought in a lot of money year before last off state inmates, and at the end of the day, it all went to the general fund, and the sheriff's department didn't receive any.
I should have hit the reset button on that one, Mike. Okay, let's open it back up and get off of funding for a minute. I think a lot of things are going to be funding driven, it sounds like, in this conversation. What about I've heard some things talked about in Benton County with the geographic shape of Benton County, 60-something miles from Sugar Tree to up to the north, 63 miles. Okay. What are the merits, and Sheriff, I'll start with you on this one. What are the merits to having a substation in the Benton County area and then maybe one in the Holiday or Sugar Tree area?
Well, the funding for it, again, is not there. It would be nice. What I try to do with my deputies is and I'm not dancing around your question, but what I do, because the funding's not there to put a substation in, when you've only got 3 men on a shift to cover 430-something miles of road in Benton County.
Are those 3 men the 3 positions? If you were fully funded, how many positions would that be at that time?
I'll have 3 and a sergeant. So if you put a man, what I try to do when we can, of course, most calls you go on now, you need 2 people. Times have changed and you need 2 people on most of your calls. But I try to, when they go out, I send 1 north, 1 south, and then the others stay in the middle. And then they have to go out and back each other up. So that cuts response time down to 1/3. Now, they can't always do that. It gets hectic. You get a call on one end, you need 2 or 3 people. The interstate is one thing that really hurts us. We stay really busy on the south end of the county. The north end of the county, the very north end, we just try to patrol it as best we can. But, I've got them spread out as best I can, but the funding to maintain another office and to just say this man on this shift is going to stay south and this one go north and put them in those stations, and it's not there. I wish we was.
Do the people in those areas, do they feel that there's a need to warrant to have a patrolman in their area, in the north end all the time, in the south end all the time?
There's definitely the need with, your thefts and your drugs and your interstate and just your general calls, domestics and whatever. And there's definitely the need. And I know the people want it, and they comment a lot about, hey, I see the patrol cars going by more now. And, everybody wants safety, and everybody wants to see law enforcement. And I agree with them 100%. You just get them out there and you do what you can with what you've got to work with.
Josh?
Yes,
same question. We're going to give you an opportunity to dive into that one. The sheriff gave his take on the merits of having a substation in the Benton County, in the Big Sandy area and in the Holiday Sugar Tree area.
yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on that?
That would be, in a perfect world, that would be great to have those places.
Do you feel that it's a necessary to have something like that in place? Because you said in a perfect world.
Right, I do, because the more police presence you have, more times than not, the less crime occurs with the police presence or officer present. So if they're there and the response time is cut down by ever how long it takes to get from Big Sandy to Sugar Tree, you already have an officer there, then that's going to cut that in half. The response time is going to be greater, then the crime is going to go down.
Oh, sorry. That question or that answer has brought up something that I've thought about as well in Benton County.
Yes, sir.
The police presence. Having a police presence gives people more of a sense that if you're visually seen in an area, not just the people living there, but potential people that are going to break the law
yes,
as
sir.
well. And I think people are maybe more willing to invest in areas where they feel safe, and having that constant police presence
Correct.
would do that.
Yes, sir.
Would you? Is that kind of what you were saying?
Yes, sir.
Or I'm not trying to put words
Yes, sir.
in your mouth there. Or anything,
Yes, sir, that was
so,
it.
but I, so is it the sheriff also mentioned the interstate, and that's an issue because I'm sure getting called out on calls at that 126 exit is another constant draw of manpower. So what is your thoughts on the southern end of the county?
As far as the interstate goes, it was at one time a lot worse than it is now. Now you have THP that just is there, and if they're on a wreck or a crash or somewhere in a different area, it may take them long to respond to you. But once you get there,
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I talked a whole lot. Keep
but
talking.
once you get on scene now, it seems like you're not set out there as long because they're there to relieve you, and then you can come back and do what you were going about doing.
Sheriff, there's a question come in. Is there a non-compete clause that when you hire a deputy, or you hire an employee to be a deputy, and Benton County pays to send him through, get his training and all?
Yes.
Do y'all make him sign a no-compete where he's got to stay with that department a certain amount of time?
Well, what we run into on that, it was discussed, and I would like to do it, but here's what you get into. I was explaining that to county commissioners a while back. If you've got a man that's working for you and you're holding him under a contract, and he can go to another department, make $2 or $3 more an hour, do you really want him there? It's easy to get you into a lawsuit because he wants to leave. He may do something to get you fired. He may leave a patrol car and reversing it back off of a bank,
Yeah. What does it cost to send an officer to his academy?
By the time we hire him, he works a few months. We get him into the academy. You pay his tuition, get him through the academy, get him back on the street. You've got about $20,000 tied up in that officer.
And they can get that, and they're certified. They're ready to go to work for anywhere in Tennessee. Could be a lot of the country. And they could stay with you 6 months and say, "Adios, Sheriff, I'm going down the road."
And that has happened.
Josh.
Yes, sir.
Do you see a problem with that scenario?
With the
Hiring
officers leaving?
Yeah, when you hire someone, you send them to the academy, like the sheriff just
Yes, sir.
explained, and you got $20,000 invested in this officer. And he works for a little while, and he says, "I'm leaving. I gotta, the grass is green on the other side of the road." Do you
Yes,
see
sir.
a problem with that?
No, sir, I don't see a problem with anybody leaving the bed of themselves.
You don't see a problem with Benton County spending $20,000 on someone and then leaving 6 months to a year later? You don't think there should be some kind of a sign something that says you got to stay here a certain amount of time to recoup that money you spent?
I don't know that would be the right thing to do.
Okay.
I believe if a man or woman has the opportunity to go somewhere else to better themselves and their family,
Yeah,
then they should have that
I
opportunity.
can agree with that. I can agree with both of y'all, but I honestly, I'm your humble host, so I can say what I want to say. If I hired a mechanic and sent him to school, and he worked for me 6 months, and I spent $20,000 on him, he quit, I'd be madder than hell. So I would make him sign some kind of clause that says, if I'm going to spend $20,000, you're going to stay with this department a year, or some kind of, because that's not fair to the citizens. Just my opinion. I mean,
What I ask them to do, Mike, and I may be wrong in this, but when I hire them and I tell them I'm going to send them to the academy, I sit down and talk with them.
Yeah.
When I send you to the academy, I like to take a man, especially if he's in law enforcement. I figure integrity is everything if you're going to be in that line of work.
you need to tell the truth up front. That's right.
And I ask them, will you stay with me for 5 years?
Right.
And I take them at their word.
Right.
Now, some of them stay and some of them don't.
Understand.
And if they come in and break it down to me and tell me, Sheriff, I'm going to leave, I can go another place and make $2 or $3 more an hour. I got to take care of my
I can
family.
understand, but it's not a problem. Kenny, I hate to butt in on you again,
No, sir.
but it's not a problem with them doing that in 6 months. How long does the average officer that you hire stay on your force?
The ones that I have hired have 3 years or better.
Okay.
So you kind of get your money's worth, but if you ask them, will you stay with me 5 years?
Right.
No matter what comes down the line, and they tell you, yes, sir, I will, you shake hands on it. If he's got integrity, he'll do that. Now, if there's a situation where he needs to leave to better his family, you can't really hold him there, and you don't expect him to be happy working there. I think Josh would agree with me, but if he's happy working there, you don't want him there. It's a volatile environment.
It is. Do you think that officers should pay for their own training? Josh?
That is that's a good question. I mean, it's been considered and been brought up and talked about.
Yeah. Because of that.
But I don't know if an officer, if it costs that much
Yeah.
to send then I don't know the exact amount. Like the sheriff would know.
I think the sheriff was probably telling you was you hire them, you let them ride around with the officers, you send them to the academy, come back. He's talking about everything. I'm sure he's not talking about the charge in the school. It's all figured in. And
his salary from the day he started, he worked 6 months, then you sent him to the academy.
Yeah, he's figured all that in.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You're fine. Go ahead.
I met several that said that they would pay for their own way if they'd have a job when they got out of the academy.
There you go. That's right. That would be something to consider. They're in my ear. I'm sure y'all can't hear it, but they're in my ears. They tell me that now I gotta take a break so they can pay the bill. So y'all don't go nowhere. We're gonna be right back. So folks, we've got Sheriff Kenny Christopher and Josh Hedges, the candidates for Benton County Sheriff Department. On the screen, you can see how to contact them. They got their Facebook and all that. So don't go nowhere. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We come back, we're going to do a little more talking. So give me about 3 minutes. Talk to you soon.
This presentation of the Mike Weatherford Show is being brought to you by...
Don't forget, August the 4th, your friend, my friend, and our friend, David Hayes, is running for County Commissioner, District 4. Don't be a hater, vote for Tater.
This has been a paid political ad for David Hayes for County Commissioner. Paid for by David Hayes.
With a new name and a new location, Paris Power Sports is now Paris Outdoor Power. What's not changing, though, is the same great quality service and commitment to your satisfaction. Leading the area since 2016 as your bad boy and skag mower dealer, Paris Outdoor Power will continue to proudly bring only the best in outdoor equipment, including now TYM tractors, as well as outstanding, reliable service that is centered on and committed to creating long-lasting relationships. Come see our new showroom today, Paris Outdoor Power. Mow with an attitude and power on.
Napa Auto and Truck Parts. With over 95 years of experience, you can trust the Napa know-how.
Take Me Back Cafe. Delicious home-cooked family-style meals in a nostalgic, warm, and inviting atmosphere. Take Me Back Cafe. Great for the entire family.
And the attorneys at Hawley & McAdams, who with over 90 years of combined experience pride themselves in competent, thorough representation, utilizing their vast experience in a broad array of practice areas. Voted favorite law firm in the 14th Annual Reader's Choice Award, Hawley & McAdams are proud and honored to serve you.
Shattering the image of standard nursing homes and committed to enhancing the human spirit, Charter Senior Living of Paris is focused on removing barriers that can prevent your success and a better life. A unique boutique community with many wonderful amenities, we offer various levels of quality care in an apartment and floor plan of your choosing. Learn more and request your free resource guide at charterparis.com or give us a call today. When physical assistance becomes a necessity, enjoy the peace of mind you deserve. The decision to buy or sell a home can be a difficult one, and it's important to have someone you can trust during that process. Landmark Realty is that someone, committed to serving you and to building solid, long-lasting relationships. Our experienced real estate agents with established professional networks work hard to help you find your perfect dream home. Browse our wide variety of homes at landmarkrealtytn.com or stop in at either of our 2 locations in Camden or Paris. Don't live in the past. Let Landmark move you into your future.
Whether it's real estate, business, criminal, or family law, civil litigation, estate planning, or even personal injury, attorneys Andy Clark and Chad Cox of Clark & Cox PLLC provide the experience and trusted representation that you're looking for. A long-standing Paris PI Reader's Choice favorite, Clark & Cox address your legal issues using the team approach, setting into motion a strong and highly competent and capable staff to assist you with all your legal needs. To find out more about how we can help you, visit clarkandcoxlaw.com or call us at 731-642-4446.
L.I. Smith & Associates, a full-service engineering and surveying company that combines 40 years of industry expertise with new cutting-edge technology to provide innovative solutions to real-world problems. Headquartered in Paris, the professionals at L.I. Smith are dedicated to providing high-quality surveying and civil engineering services throughout Henry County and the surrounding region. L.I. Smith & Associates, industry expertise, innovative solutions, and community-focused. 54 Fuel Mart, a great place to eat with friendly staff and some of the best gas prices in town. Stop in for a bite to eat or get treated like family. That's 54 Fuel Mart, 1213A West Wood Street in Paris.
Kenny Christopher has been truly honored to represent his home county of Benton as your sheriff for the past 8 years and would like to thank all its citizens for affording him that opportunity. Kenny recognizes that no one can do this job alone and that he has been truly blessed by God with a supportive family as well as a fully dedicated, sacrificial, and hardworking staff of employees. Election Day is coming August 4th, and Kenny Christopher humbly asks for your continued support and vote for Sheriff of Benton County.
This has been a paid political ad for Sheriff of Benton County, Tennessee, paid for by Kenny Christopher for Sheriff.
Welcome back to the Getting to Know Your Candidates. We've got Sheriff Kenny Christopher and his challenger, Josh Hedge, in the house. And I've got my political analyst here beside of me, Patrick.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
Oh, man.
We're having fun. We're getting to know these candidates.
Getting to know them, having fun, and they ain't left. And I ain't heard no handcuffs.
We didn't even have to hold them here.
No, I didn't hear no
handcuffs.
handcuffs, no guns.
It was amazing.
I didn't get searched or anything. I mean, I feel privileged.
You didn't get searched?
No, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you look kind of that kind of guy. All right, we've been talking to the sheriff and his challenge over here about the going on in the Benton County Sheriff's Department. I found out quite a few stuff, and I'm going to get right back on it before we run out of time here. And Kenny, we started with him, so I'm going to start with you this time.
Okay.
You have 2 chief deputies in your department, correct?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Well, the reason I done that, it was another budget thing. I could actually save a little bit of money. The way we were set up before, we had a chief deputy, and then we had a lieutenant, and then we had our sergeants. So what I done was eliminated one position as a lieutenant, moved a sergeant up to chief deputy, and then fill the other chief deputy with the chief deputy's position, split the salaries between them, and give them equal duties to take care of. So I'd rather have, instead of me making a decision or me going and talking with my chief deputy and making a decision, I got 3 people in there, and we sat down when anything is coming up, and we sat down in my office and we discuss it. And one of my chief deputies has got his views, the other one's got his, I've got mine, and it's worked really good so far. We all sit there and decide on what we're going to do, and then we back each other up on the decisions we make.
Josh?
Yes, sir.
If you're elected sheriff, are you going to keep the 2 chief deputy thing that the sheriff started, or are you going to change that, or how are you going to do it?
Well, I'm going to keep 2, but I feel like I need one of them on the night shift, and separate, put one on days and one on nights.
Okay, so you're going to separate the 2 chiefs, both be chiefs. One to be kind of on the night shift, and one to be the day shift.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Everybody knows that we got a drug problem. It's not a Benton County problem. It's not a Henry County problem. It's a national problem.
Yes, sir.
And with a drug problem also comes other crimes, stealing, just you name it. It kind of follows the drug problem. Plans do you have, if you're elected sheriff, to combat that drug problem and the crimes that go with it? What are you wanting to implement that's not already there now that you want to do as a sheriff?
The first thing I feel, we need more communication between the agencies. the sheriff's office, police department, Big Sandy, we all need to communicate more because the same people that are doing the drugs and the thieving are hitting each end of the county. They're not just, isolated to one part. So the communication we know and sharing information, along with the task force and whoever else that can come in and help, it will cut down on that.
Okay, so
Mike, can I jump in and ask?
Sure.
The consolidated force. Why, or is there a E911 board, or who would consolidate all of the different police forces?
I assume it would be the heads of the departments would be over that.
But do they have like an interconnected response? Like, does your E911 board or somebody coordinate all of the different departments?
I'm not sure of that. I know that the E911 is at the sheriff's office, but I'm not sure if that answers that question for you.
I'm just curious as how that would work. Is really what my question is.
I believe it would be between the sheriff and the two chiefs to sit down and implement their policy or their program, and go from there.
but the Big Sandy Police Department, the Camden Police Department, what other agencies other than the Sheriff's Department are involved in Benton County? Is that your three, just the Benton County and the Camden Sheriff's Department, Police Department, and then you got your Big Sandy Police Department? They're the only three.
You have your drug task force.
Drug task, the 24th.
Yes, sir.
That's with the district attorney's office, what you're talking about, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. But that's basically the three y'all got right there, is those three. And you don't think they do enough communicating with each other, is what you're saying, Josh?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. No,
Yeah,
they do not.
They do not?
No, sir.
Okay, Sheriff, that's right in your wheelhouse. You know, with the three departments that he spoke of, not counting the 24th Task Force, do y'all have a connection there? Or?
We have a good communication. I wish it was better. A lot of times maybe the city may know something that we didn't find out. We may know something and it didn't get to the city, right. And Big Sandy as well. I had a man on drug task force, and because of funding and stuff, we had to pull him off. I've recently put another man back on drug task force. So when the heads of a department put somebody on the drug task force, they automatically set in on the board. So that will help with communications a lot, and we've just recently put one on there, and the city has put one on as well. And so with that being said, I think that's going to improve the communications a lot. I talk with drug task force officers, I won't say on a daily basis, but I speak with them. I spoke just yesterday with the head of the drug task force in Benton County, and he was congratulating me on the new man we put on there, that he'd already made a couple of pretty good busts. And then he comes by our office, and I think the communications will pick up a lot better. I would like to see our investigators and the city investigators pass information a little bit better. Sometimes they do, and they're right on spot with each other, and then other times we don't. The chief in Big Sandy's been a big asset to us. We go down and assist him. And if he's already in the north end and our officers are tied up, he'll go outside his jurisdiction and come out and help us on the north end because the county is so long. So we all have worked real well together, but the officers of a night out here are best communications because they see everything firsthand, and then they talk with the chief and they talk with the people in the city and pull up in the parking lot and pass information back and forth to each other. I would like to see it get better. I agree with Josh 100%. Communications is the main thing.
Josh, with the shootings that's happening across the country, you know, every time you turn on the news, there's a mass shooting somewhere in the country.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about gun control, and how do you feel about the Second Amendment?
Well, I'm for the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. Everybody should have that right.
That's right.
It's not, my opinion, it's not, you need to be taught how to use, a firearm to have it, but you also have that right to have it
right.
Anyway.
Right. Are you for any more gun control, that we already have, or are you basically saying that it's a person problem, not a gun problem? Is that
I believe it's a person problem.
Kenny, same question to you. With all the shootings happening across the country, what's your stance on gun control and the Second Amendment?
For the Second Amendment, 100%. I think every law-abiding citizen in the country should own a weapon. If they want one, they should own one. The reason I think that is you've got a right to protect yourself and your family. Now, I would like to see...
Kenny, a lot of times, and this is for you too, y'all both are officers right now, the law usually gets there after the fact.
Yes, sir.
You know, you're never, hardly ever do y'all prevent crime. You usually go in there and mark it off and take the chalk and outline the body. So it's up to the individual to kind of protect herself. And I'm sorry, Kenny, but I'm a big Second Amendment supporter, and I'm glad both of y'all are too. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Definitely. The only thing that I see we need to do different is when you go in and buy a weapon and you apply for it, it needs to be checked out more than what it is. We've got people that live in our county that draw a check, and I'm sure it's everywhere. They draw a check because they have mental disabilities, and they have guns and have permits to have them. It's hard to control that when you can go buy a gun from your neighbor, or you can buy one at just most anywhere, and there's no background check on it. So it's almost impossible to control. But I would like to see when they sell them that they would be a little more in-depth. The questions are so generic when you're registering to get a gun. It's just so generic and all you got to do is be a liar. You can spark a couple of questions on there, and you can get a gun and walk out. But if anybody wants a gun, they can buy a gun out here on the street. So that's a hard one to control, but I wish every law-abiding citizen had a weapon.
Let me jump in here with another one, Mike. We just had in Henry County some judges, for the 24th Judicial District judge races. And particularly we talked with our the judges running for our Chancery Court. And we did. And then we also talked with the Chancery. Is a trend that's being seen across the nation, and this is where we're asking for your opinion, because I don't. This is not where you get involved so much, I don't think, other than arresting people. But would you advocate for less pretrial incarceration to relieve overcrowding?
I would like to see myself, and there's a bill coming out now, Truth in Sentencing. And I'm hoping it'll pass, and I think it will, and it's going to be 11 of our major crimes. And when you get 10 years, you do 10 years. This early release stuff is not working, and the programs they have in the prisons are not working. I don't know what the legislators are thinking on early release. If you're already at the way most things are now, if you go in and you got 10 years, you're going to do it at 66%. Then you've got all your different programs and good times and all that, and you may wind up walking out of there in 4 years. It's not uncommon at all. Truth in sentencing would be fantastic. I mean, if you get a DUI, you know your first DUI is automatically 48 hours.
Right. Isn't the trend, though, that we see are repeat offenders in and out for some of the same crimes, and a lot of them or even can't afford bail, so they're incarcerated during that pretrial time period, and the county has to keep them up. That's really where I'm talking about is before they even get prosecuted.
Yeah, what we're doing what we've been doing in the past, and it's a burden on the county, major burden. Things will keep getting put off. And
you have to incarcerate them during that time because they were unable to obtain bail
until we can get them sentenced. It's the county's responsibility. I've seen a lot of people sit there, and this happens regular. You'll get your sentence. You'll get your set. It may be 6 months to a year before you ever actually come up for trial. It might be longer than that, and then they'll turn around and release you on time served. Well, then the whole burden of that was on the county. The court process needs to move a lot swifter than it does. We've got cases out there now that are 6 and 7 years old, and we don't know when they're going to be closed. And we've held those people for maybe a year, 2 years in jail. And when it does finally come up, then they're probably going to let them go a lot of times for time served. If they had moved on up and got them sentenced, and I know the court system gets jammed up, and especially with COVID, it got jammed up, but that's where we're at on that.
Josh, same question to you. It's something that we've talked with the judges running about this issue, and again, this is more of your opinion. You see the law enforcement, you see the criminals, you see I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say criminals. You see the people that are being arrested, and
most time it's criminals getting arrested.
They end up being that way generally. But the county has to incarcerate them until they are sentenced or go to trial, or if they can't make bond. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether you would advocate for less pretrial incarceration to relieve overcrowding, or more, or is it fine?
Well, to start off, there's a list that you go through then where you can write citations that will keep them from being in there and keep them out of jail. And if they're repeat offenders, fade appears, or certain crimes, you can't do that. So if they've committed one of those crimes, or it is bound to continue, then you have to incarcerate them. And I feel that's what they need. And it's up to the court clerk or the judge to set a bond according to that crime.
So again, it is a judge issue as to how to bond them, but is the question, are there other means? Can we let some of these people that are non-flight threat not have to be a burden on the county at the jail? Is that something that counties need to look more at, or is it better to have them sitting in the jail for however long it takes to get to their, a lot of times, I'm not going to say a lot of times, Mike, but sometimes petty crimes?
Okay. If they've committed a petty crime, they shouldn't be in there anyway. They should have been cited.
Okay.
And they would have been out until their arraignment date.
Okay.
Okay. If they've created a crime where they need to be in jail,
And
that's
I
where
don't
they
know
need
what
to be
petty
at.
crime would be, in y'all's world. I mean,
Well, if it's a shoplifting, you write them a citation.
Okay.
Okay. If it's a vandalism that's not a felony, if it's not going to continue, you can cite them. Theft's under so much, you can cite them. There's so many things in a list that you can cite people on to keep them out of jail.
Okay.
But if they've committed a crime where they need a bond, I believe that's where they need to be until they can go in front of a judge.
And I think that's the thing that I've heard is that they're arrested and they can't bond out and they are guilty at the moment of arrest. Then
That's
and that's a little off topic, but that's just kind of where that question has come up.
Question.
yeah. Kenny, there's an ongoing murder case in Benton County. I know it's being investigated by the TBI, according to what I can read and find out. And you've been accused of some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Don't hold it against me, but you've been accused of covering up for someone. Can you explain to me what's going on? I know it's a TBI, I believe. I'm correct. Am I right on investigate? I've been reading and trying to do what I could and to make sure that I knew what I was asking. Tell me what is going on.
Well,
what you can tell me legally.
that's what I was going to say. I'm limited because it is a TBI case. We got a call back in October, and some of the family members had found their loved one out there, and they called in and said they believed he had been shot. My officers went out there on the scene, and I arrived there about maybe 35, 40 minutes later, and I'd instructed them to go ahead and just seal the case off, and so they put up the crime scene tape and stood by. I had my investigators en route, and they went out there, and when I got there and I seen what we had, I thought TBI needs to work this and not us. Small community, I knew both families, and we'll get TBI to come work this. So we contacted the DA's office and asked him would he ask TBI, and less than an hour they was there. They took the case over from there and just asked us to follow them and assist on it. I want to say both of these families, I feel sorry for these families because they're both good families. And I've known them, known who they was all my life. It's tragic what happened because it all comes down, it was over some goats. And I hate that the decisions was made by the person to take someone else's life. And we've done nothing there. I backed up away from it because I wanted to stay out of it. So I just backed up away from it, and TBI instructed us what they wanted us to do to assist them. But TBI's worked the case completely. We haven't had anything to do with it other than what they've asked us to do. And that was just follow them. They wanted to go and speak with one of the subjects that they thought was involved in it. And so we went to their house with them, and TBI talked to them. I had no conversation with them or anything. And just let them run the whole thing. I thought that was the best thing to do, and that's where we're at. I mean, accusations can be made when people are hurting, and both of these families are hurting, and they want to blame somebody. And the gentleman that took the other one's life, the next day he committed suicide, and he left a note that he did, and TBI took possession of all that. We just went out there with them. But it's TBI's case, and that's about all I can say on it. Is we just followed up. And I haven't even spoke with the TBI agents on this case, and I don't know. I haven't talked to them in 2 months, so I don't know where they're at on it and what they plan to do, if they're pursuing, if there is other suspects or not. But I think the TBI did an excellent job on investigating this, and I mean, I have no qualms with what they're doing. And like I said, I never seen the suicide note. I never seen a video that they say they had pictures. We just stayed back out of the way, because if you ask somebody to take a case over, you don't go interrupting them. They was nice enough to do it for us. And they've got ways and means and things and the training that we just don't have.
Right. I read a quote that the District Attorney Matt Stowe was quoted as saying, "The Sheriff's Department does not have the ability to make things go any faster." Was he talking about that particular case, that it's not moving fast as some people want, or what does that pertain to?
Well, the TBI met with the District Attorney Matt Stowe, and they asked me to come over there in his office, and we met, and they told him what they had and where they was at with it and what they was doing. And they just wanted me to be informed on it. The DA at that time, he said, well, I want to wait on a piece of evidence that was sent to the crime lab, and that's why it's still open. I don't know, I mean, I understand why he wants to get it, but the piece of evidence he's talking about, I don't think is directly going to make a difference. But since that day in there, I've had no communication with him, and that was a couple of weeks after the...
So the accusations are just that, accusations that what you're telling me, I don't put words in people's mouths, but I want to make sure I understood you. It's two families tore apart.
It is, and it's too good.
Sad. I don't know them, the families. I've read about, know what happened, and it's horrible, horrible. I mean, it's got to be horrible, and I just wish there was a way that everybody could just, it's sad.
People deal with their pain in different ways,
sure.
And the one side, they've done it very quietly.
Yes.
And the other side has been very vocal, and they want justice, and I understand that, but I just didn't see anything wrong with what TBI did, and they may still be working on it. I don't know. So once the accusation was made, the people that made the accusations know that they was told that night that TBI took the investigation over.
So it's kind of out of your hands?
Well, if you was going to cover something up, you wouldn't call another agency in to investigate it.
Well, that's... I guess.
And they was there in less than an hour and took the case over.
So basically, the Sheriff's Department didn't do much investigating. You basically
we did nothing.
Taped it off, called in the big boys and said, here's what we got, and they took it over from there, and you just kind of assisted.
I left my two investigators down there with them. Right. I actually left for a while, went out on something else, and then came back. I left my investigators there to assist TBI. Right. And then TBI would call me and instruct me as to what they would like for us to help them do, and we did, and I appreciate them very much.
Right, okay. Josh.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you're familiar with the case we're talking about. You know, you live in that county and
Yes,
all
sir.
that. It's a horrible situation.
Yes, sir.
This is a question here that I want to ask you. I want to ask anybody that wants to be sheriff. I don't care if it's Henry County, Benton County, or hell, Florida.
Right.
After what this sheriff is going through, are you mentally prepared to do this kind of crap he's doing?
Yes,
you
sir, I
think
am.
you're ready for all this kind of stuff that goes on? You know, neighbors having problems, and one of them gets, takes another one's life. And are you prepared to do this?
I've been doing this for 12 years, just not in his position.
So you think you're okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's one to make sure that you knew what you was getting into.
Yes, sir.
Trying to look out for you, buddy.
I understand. I appreciate it.
All right.
Hey, I want to get back a little bit on your staffing. The schools in Benton County, you have several schools, 2 high schools. You have Benton County High School, is that right? And then Big Sandy High School.
We've got 6 schools.
So you've got 6 schools. And schools a lot of times have a school resource officer. So I want to start back off over here, Josh, with you. First of all, are school resource officers needed, required? Whenever I went to school, the principal was the one that kept us in line with a paddle.
About that long.
Yeah. Mr. John Hudson played football, and he'd lift me up off the ground. Only one time, though, Mike. Once is all I needed from that man.
Hell, they broke paddles on me.
Oh, my gosh. So, school resource officers are at most schools. So are they needed? And if they are needed, why are they at all the schools? If they're not at all the schools, why are they not at all the schools?
Okay. Yes, sir, they are needed.
Okay.
And they're needed at all the schools. Unfortunately, they're not, and I don't know if that goes back to grants or funding or just, don't have anybody that wants to do it. But it's better to have them there. You want to be proactive instead of reactive. So, if they're there.
How many schools in Benton County have resource officers? Do you
2.
know? 2.
And then Mr. Sykes, he'll rotate every day. If he's at Big Sandy, he'll go to Holiday. I believe it's correct. The sheriff would be more to answer that one, but I believe that's correct.
So you got 2 of them filled, and there's 4 more that's not filled.
And Officer Lambright, I believe he's mainly at the high school, but if he's needed, then he'll go to the inner city, to the Cameron schools.
And so what is the role of a school resource officer? Because they're sheriff's deputies or deputized individuals representing the sheriff's department, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is their role at the school as a school resource officer?
I don't know. You'd have to ask one of those. I don't really know what I know they're there for safety and, like we talked about earlier, officer presence.
Okay.
Because they would be the first ones to respond if something, awful was to happen like that.
I would say they're kind of like a security guard, maybe. They're there to.
Well, I don't know about security guard.
They've been through the academy. I'm not.
Yeah. So that's the question. So I want to move over here to the sheriff then. Sheriff, school resource officers, are they needed? If they're needed, why are they not at every school?
We go right back to the funding issue. We have the one for the sheriff's office, and then the city is paying for the one at the high school in Camden, and that'd be Officer Lambright. Then Officer Sykes, he jumps back and forth between Holiday and Big Sandy because we felt like they're more vulnerable. They're further away from most of your law enforcement. There was a grant out there, and the state came in and they would pay the salaries for a school resource officer to be in every school. Well, I went to the county commission and I asked the county commission would they, and also Chief Smith at the Camden Police Department, and said, we want to get these officers in there. Will you furnish the vehicles and the equipment and things that they have to have in their training? and we didn't get the money. So we're still with one officer. Officer Sykes has been doing DARE and the GREAT program for many, many years. Was in Henry County back years ago and over McKenzie, and we're real lucky to have him.
What's his name?
Jackie Sykes.
I knew Jackie. Go ahead.
And Jackie has a great rapport with the kids, and I'm very proud of what he does. I think that is one of the big things in the school resource officer. Of course, he's there for security. That's his main job, to be seen and to let them, help them keep in line. But the main thing I think he does is he has a rapport with these kids so that they're not afraid of police officers. They learn to communicate with them, and he talks to them about what law enforcement officers do, and they talk to him about what they see at home and what they see out on the streets. And it's a lot of information he brings back to our department to say, Mom and Dad have been doing this and that. We hadn't had that problem before. Or my aunt came over to the house and brought some friends, and they was bringing drugs in. And it's a lot, kids will talk to you.
Sheriff, let me interrupt you there, because I want to back up a second, because I think it almost sounds like that the school resource officers are acting as, I hate to say it, narcs on parents. So, or on the goings on. And that's where I was asking about what is the purpose of the school resource officers in the schools. And I would, because again, if it's something that's needed, both of y'all have said that it's needed, it's why aren't they in there? But what more importantly, and me as somebody that sees these sheriff's cars, not just in Benton County, in Henry County, Callaway County, Kentucky, Stewart County, all over. What is the role of having a school resource officer present at the school?
Well, to be on campus and to take care of the security should somebody walk in the front door shooting or a student. We've actually got down and got two that we know for sure was going to be school shootings, and got to them within a matter of days in the last 2 years. Very disturbed children that was having some major problems, had weapons. We know they had them. They had the ammunition. They had the money to buy more, and had sent out text messages and videos of what they was doing, and they'd give a date they was going to do it, actually. As soon as we come back off school break, one of them said, "This is the people I'm going to kill." Now, as far as what you said, and I want to address that.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to readdress that, because I don't think that's what you meant, but that's what I heard.
The resource officer doesn't ask any questions, okay? The kids just feel comfortable and talk to him and come in and go, I didn't get any rest last night, just like they do their teachers, and he teaches classes. I didn't get any rest last night. There was a party at the house and everybody was drunk, whatever you might say. And then some other things that really help is they'll come in and they'll say, "Officer Sykes, do you think that, I could get something to eat? I didn't get to eat last night. We didn't have food at our house." So it gives you some ideas what's going on, and then other things come up, like with DCS may have to get involved on something. And, that Officer Sykes can say, well, this child did come to me, if they ask him, did come to me and say that he was hungry, and the school gave him some food. A lot of roles. He don't go in and ask them any questions and ask, "Hey, you got any dope in your house?" He don't do that kind of stuff, He just waits for...
Well, they might ought to.
Well, when the kids come to you and say, "I've got a problem."
I understand what you're talking about,
But he doesn't act as an agent for that.
I can say this, and y'all can't. But my opinion, and I'm going to catch some slack over this, but I don't care. The resource officers doing what parents should be doing at home, making their damn kids mad. I mean, that's the biggest problem that I see is parents nowadays, and I'm sure I'm guilty of it myself to an extent. We want to raise our best friends. We don't want to raise our children. And, and that's what, in my opinion, both of y'all are in the law enforcement, but y'all can correct me where I'm wrong, but I think they're just doing what damn parents ought to be doing, making the kids mad. I mean, if the parents don't make them mad when they're kids, Y'all gonna make them mine when they grow up. So I've got 10 grandkids, and I tell them all the time. I had one of my grandkids that I have to give a tour to the Henry County Sheriff's Department one day. I
do that from time to time.
I had him walk
dad
through
took
and
me
let
through.
him say, "You want to be a gangster? I'm going to show you what gangster stuff is."
Yeah.
So and he looked at me and said, "Papa, I don't think I want to be a gangster." So I said, "There you go. If you don't make your kids mine, that's what happens." And y'all can disagree or disagree. We'll just leave that alone. I said it. Y'all didn't. Okay. They're doing what parents ought to be doing. One more thing before I kind of wrap this up. There was a word that come up. I'm going to give each one of y'all a minute to answer this one quickly. You said the word grant. I don't remember which one of y'all said that. The problem I have with grants is that money's good when they give you a big lump of money to start a program and hire somebody to run that program. But what happens when that grant goes away? Then that county or city or whatever municipal it is has to find funds to keep that thing going. So grants can be a double-edged sword. It can be something good to, maybe it was you, Josh, said we need grants to put resource officers into schools. If we can't pay for it now, we get the grant money, we might get paid for it till the grant money runs out. Then we're right back into the same boat. We got to either find the money or get rid of the officers. So do y'all see where I'm going with grant money? Do you agree on how grants can be?
Yes, sir.
I've seen that happen I'm a little older than you, back in the Bill Clinton days when he filled the streets full of police officers. I don't know if he was an officer then or not, but he granted all these, put all these officers on the streets, and then these rural police departments, when the grant money stopped, they was flabbergasted. How are we going to pay for this now that we don't have this federal money coming in? So I think you both understand that the problem being a sheriff is not only a chief law enforcement officer, you got to be a money manager.
Yes, sir.
And I think you got to also have a good relationship with the people that holds the purse strings, and that would probably be the county commissioners, and that's an issue that I'm glad I'm not doing, and I'm glad I'm not wanting to do it. Not only am I got to run down these criminals, I got to find the damn money to run them down. I'm glad I don't have to do that, and I commend both of y'all
Absolutely.
for being police officers, because I back the blue 100,000%. If that's a number, I back them. And there's bad in my line of work. There's bad mechanics. There's bad hosts on shows. And there's bad police officers, but it's not a virus. We don't have a virus of bad police officers in police departments. That doesn't happen, because people like yourself and you, Sheriff, y'all see to that don't happen. That just don't happen. But they're in my ear telling me that we've been over an hour, but we're just talking.
Yeah.
But I'm going to close it out. We allowed you went first a while ago, so I want you, Mr. Josh, to convince me and these thousands of people out there that's going to watch this why we should vote for you as the next sheriff of Benton County, Tennessee. Go right ahead.
All right.
Camera one. There's your camera.
All right. The reason I want to become the Benton County Sheriff is because that's where I grew up at. I know the area. I'm able to protect the area. I've been doing it for years. The people of Benton County are family. They need leadership, and they need somebody that can come in and do the job. I believe that person is me. I know I have ideas to make things happen. It's just whether or not they can happen. But with everything that I know, I'll be great next sheriff, and I appreciate y'all's vote.
All right. Sheriff, Kenny Christopher, you're going to give you the same amount of time to convince me that I ought to vote and re-elect you as the sheriff of Benton County, Tennessee.
All right, sir. Well, what I'd like to say is I've been the sheriff for 8 years. I'm pushing on 30 years total law enforcement, and I know the people in Benton County. I like the people in Benton County. It's home. I want to take care of my family. I want to take care of my friends, and I want to take care of this whole county. We've got good people in Benton County, and they deserve even better than what we can afford to give them. I'm not knocking county commissioners, but we do need revenue from somewhere to help us increase law enforcement. My idea, I've got several ideas that I'd like to bring in these next 4 years. We brought in probably 10 new projects that we brought in over the last 8 years that have paid off and cut cost and help with recidivism. And I'd really like to get into the work release program these next 4 years like Henry County and Dyer County and other counties have. I would appreciate the people electing me again. It's been the highlight of my career to be the sheriff. I set my goal back in 1981 when I started to be the sheriff of Benton County. It wouldn't mean anything anywhere else. So I appreciate what they've done and supported me like they have. They've just been amazing in how they've helped. And I want to thank right now for the 8 years that I've had, and I'd like to have another 4 to cover some projects and stuff that we'd like to do. But I want to thank my family. I guess first off, I want to thank God, because God's been very good to me. He allowed me to reach the goal that I set back in 1981. So I appreciate that, and I appreciate my family, and I appreciate the people that work at my office. I might be the captain of the ship, but they're the ones doing the rowing. And I give them all the credit for everything, because I couldn't do it, and nobody can do it unless they've got a good staff. So I thank them very much, and I would appreciate your vote, and I would like to be your sheriff for another term.
All righty. Chief Political Analyst. We got through another one.
We did get through another one. That was I
wish I had
always
more
learn
time.
more every show. Every show.
I told you when you first started helping me, I might not make you rich, but I'm gonna make you famous. And
you're
smarter.
educating me.
And educating you.
And I didn't.
I
that
learned,
was something that's like, when you get a bonus.
Yeah, that's a bonus.
I already knew what I was getting paid. That's
right.
a bonus.
That's right.
I'm getting educated.
People that's kind of common like me, you have to surround yourself with intelligence, because I can't be doing it on my own.
Well, you lost it today.
No, I want to appreciate both of y'all. Josh, I want to appreciate you coming in. I want to wish you good luck, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having
And I
me.
appreciate you for coming in.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff?
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you coming in. I
Yes, sir,
wish
Mike.
you good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I think both these gentlemen can represent well. I think
They did well. Both
They
of
both did well. I hope y'all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Nobody.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all for being here. Also, Mike, it's National Police Week, so having the law enforcement coming in to do this show was on point.
I thought about that on the way over here. It's a
Yeah.
good time for us.
Yeah.
Good timing on y'all's part.
It is. We there's a lot of things that I know that I didn't get to all my notes, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that Josh probably wanted to say he didn't get to say. A lot of things you want to say you didn't get to say, and my political analyst over here, I'm sure there's a lot of things he wanted to say he didn't get to say. But we only got a certain amount of time, and I think we got the gist of what we're up to. I think we got the gist of everything, and I want to tell y'all once again how much I appreciate you coming on, and I think Benton County, both of them knows y'all. I'm sure, because I've read a little bit about you. You've been around the block, and Kenny, you've been the sheriff a long. They know you, and I feel like they're gonna make the right decision. All right, folks, this is we got a lot going on this next tomorrow night. Don't forget now, we have got Travis McLeish from the Chamber of Commerce. Will be here along with Dr. Heather Melton from the show Health Matter. That's my sister show. We got another show here on Cal Media. It's called Health Matters with Dr. Heather Melton. She's going to come in tomorrow. We also got Darryl Worley and PBR star Cody Nance will be here in the house. We'll be updating folks on the Tennessee River Jam and the PBR in Paris. You don't want to miss it. So the next Tuesday, we go back to our regular Meet the Candidates. We got Benton County Mayor Brent Lashley, Randy Shannon, and Mark Ward be here at 7 p.m. in Studio B.
Yep, have another one.
Got another one. So, folks, I want to appreciate everybody coming in.
Yep.
I want to thank all my viewers. I want to thank my sponsors. I want to thank my guests and my special co-host over here, my chief political analyst.
There we go.
Got close. All right, folks. Listen, don't forget, tomorrow night a special show starts at 6 p.m. You don't want to miss this. And hell, I might even sing a song to
Be
you.
a lot of bucking and dancing.
There's going to be a lot of dancing and bucking and singing. I don't know who's going to sing. I think Heather's going to sing. I may release my new song.
There we go.
I broke her heart and she broke my jaw. All right, folks, don't forget, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. live. Don't be late.